9, 10, never sleep again. Wait, is this Yahoo reviewing a film? Yes, you are, Jerry. And you know what happens to mischievous young people who review all the Elm Street films on YouTube? You get a little visit from the man with the fingernails, if you know what I mean. And I think you do. And remember, Jerry, there are 8 films, not 7, because Freddy versus Jason. And I expect you to settle once and for all the question of who wins, Freddy or Jason. Otherwise, you will never sleep again.
Welcome to your nightmare. Hey folks, welcome back. This is the new set for my Nightmare on Elm Street series, which is what we're going to go through today. So special thanks to Cameo and Joe Bob Briggs. Joe Bob will appear in the opening redoing what you just saw. So thank you for that. Again, book them through Cameo, so if you want to do that yourself, you can go to Cameo and find him on there, and he will do what you ask within reason. Now that that's out of the way, we're going to discuss A Nightmare on Elm Street, Part 1. Before we do, I have a few notes. First off, the first Nightmare on Elm Street, the review is going to be shorter. Why? Well, everybody knows the Nightmare on Elm Street. That's the thing, is, you know Nightmare on Elm Street? I know Nightmare on Elm Street. But do you know 2? Maybe, but maybe you don't know the behind the scenes. So I'm going to be going more in depth on the sequels than I will the first one, because the first one, I mean, there's t-shirts of the first one, not really so much of 2, 3, 4, 5. So 3 there might be, 2, 4, 5 probably. So starting with the next one, which will be Nightmare on Elm Street 2, Freddy's Revenge, we will be discussing the movie, and I will go into behind-the-scenes details. I will have my phone out as I have things that cue me and remind me of certain stuff. And before we get on with A Nightmare on Elm Street, let's start with Wes Craven's first 2 films. Let's start with the original Last House on the Left. The Last House on the Left, the marketing for it, to avoid fainting, keep repeating, it's only a movie. Only a movie. Only a movie. Only a movie. So, Last House on the Left, this is the Arrow Steelbook. This is a very rough watch. I enjoy the story, but not how rough it is, if that makes sense. And I caught this on DVD, I think, when I was a teenager. I rented it because it looked interesting. And it was interesting. I remember watching it. My dad woke up and watched the end of it with me and wondered what I was watching. So, Last House on the Left, I like the story. I don't like how rough it is, and it's just raw and gritty, kind of like an I Spit on Your Grave. So, do I recommend Last House on the Left? If you are interested in the story and don't mind the roughness, yes. If rough and gritty bothers you, skip this. Wes Craven's other film, The Hills Have Eyes. This is also a steelbook. And The Hills Have Eyes, right there. The Hills Have Eyes, the problem with this one is it's put me to sleep every time. I own the steelbook because there's cool features on it. Now, only a true Wes Craven fan has this. This is the Scream Factory Shocker. It is autographed, I don't know if you can see it, let's see, by Mitch Pileggi. Let's try to do that. There we go. It is autographed by Mitch Pileggi, and this was my favorite VHS release when I was a kid. And the reason I ended up renting Shocker on VHS as a kid is because somebody had put the shock treatment box in front of it. So, really liked Shocker. Hills Have Eyes puts me to sleep, but the special features are cool, so I don't really recommend it. Last House on the Left, recommend for the story, not for the grittiness and violence. Shocker, highly recommend. Everybody needs to run out and see this movie without me telling you what it is. Just go see Shocker. So, with that out of the way, that brings us to A Nightmare on Elm Street. So, let me give you my history with this movie. As a kid, I would rent Super Nintendo games because my parents got me a Super Nintendo for Christmas one year. And I think it was like Y through Z, or no, S through Z was on the backside. Well, also on the backside was A through N of horror films. So whenever I would be looking at like Zombies Ate My Neighbors or WWF Raw or X-Men, on the other side of this video store, like right here, would be Freddy and his glove. And it would scare the shit out of me. And this harkens back to when I was babysat as a kid. My babysitter, when I was like, I want to say 5, had on Child's Play 2, where the blood was, it was either 2 or 3, where the blood's going through the doll and combining with the plastic. And that freaked me out to the point I locked myself in the bathroom. So this wouldn't have been that much later that I saw Freddy, and then at another place where they had like a TV room and a video game room set up, there was a Freddy standee, and scared the shit out of me. It wasn't until I bought a Fangoria, I think it's Fangoria, it might be Fangoria, I've never known how to pronounce that, until I bought that magazine and I saw, wait a minute, this is a guy just sitting in the chair and someone's applying prosthetics. And it wasn't for Nightmare on Elm Street, it was for one of the, I think it was for one of the like Living Dead remakes or something like that. Not Night of the Living Dead, but the one that everybody hates, that Full Moon put out. The sequel to Night of the Living Dead that was like Children of the Dead or The Dead Hate the Living or something like that. Anyway, it showed special effects and people in makeup, and I go, oh, that's all these are. So from there, started renting the classics. First classic I rented, Nightmare on Elm Street. Does it hold up? Sort of. So, first thing I want to talk about with this is I hate the packaging on this. You get this cover, you get this, here are the discs. The discs are not any different. And a piece of plastic just fell out. Wonderful. The discs have no artwork on them, they have no posters, and in my mind, they kind of suck. So that really bugs me because I really like the theatrical posters, and that's what caused me to rent the original DVDs that were in this box set. So, with the first Nightmare on Elm Street, some things when I rewatched it that I didn't realize. First, I didn't, for whatever reason, I always thought Tina had one dream. Tina is played by Amanda Weiss, and she has 2 dreams. And I always thought of them as one giant dream at the beginning of the movie, like Janet Leigh gets killed in Psycho. But it's not. It's 2 separate dreams, and she lasts a lot longer than I remember. In Tina's dream sequence, when Freddy does his arms thing, that spooked me. When Freddy cuts off his fingers, that scared me. The thing that doesn't scare me is, for whatever reason, Robert Englund or Freddy or a stunt person or whatever, when he runs after Tina, he runs like this. And that strikes me as extremely silly. So, another thing, while rewatching it, I did not realize Glenn lasted as long as he did. I always thought Johnny Depp's death, Johnny Depp plays Glenn, I always thought Johnny Depp's death, or Glenn, whatever, I always thought his death was at the beginning as well. His is the very last death you see, I'm pretty sure. And I always thought that this was like midway through the film. Not at the beginning, but midway through. And it's not. It is like right at the last, I want to say 20 minutes or so of it. So, the effects hold up? Yes. Am I scared anymore by the extended arms? No. Am I creeped out by the Freddy pushing through over top of the bed? Yes. Not as much as I was as a kid. Does this movie hold up? Yes. Yes, it does. Nightmare on Elm Street holds up way better than I expected. While some people may say that, hey, wait a minute, some of the effects are hokey and the makeup's hokey, it is still an effective horror film. It is creepy, and the nightmares and the kills are effective. For instance, someone goes up to you. Someone says, hey, what kill do you remember in Friday the 13th? most people are going to have to think about it. Someone comes up to you, what kill do you remember in Nightmare on Elm Street? And almost everybody says Johnny Depp being pulled into the bed and blood shoots up. That is the iconic moment of this movie. That is the thing that sticks out the most. And that is one of the best effects I have seen. To make matters even more interesting, I never noticed that Johnny Depp is pulled through the bed and you never see him die. You just see the claw pull him under and then the blood spurts up. In my mind, I always thought it was he was getting slashed to death and you saw it and then like the claw came through him and then everything busted, everything happened. So, it's not the case. Do I recommend Nightmare on Elm Street? Yes. Go find it. Find it on DVD, find it on Blu-ray, find it on Vudu. But here's the thing. Do I recommend you buy this Nightmare on Elm Street Blu-ray set? No. Reason being, most of the special features on here are also on this DVD, which came with the DVD set. I sadly got rid of the DVDs, but they let me keep the bonus disc. And they kept the box for whatever reason. Now, the Blu-ray, the special features, with the exception of music videos, which I think are even on there, the special features on here are the exact same as here. And I don't want people searching for this. You can probably get it fairly cheap now. But here's the other side of that. Nightmare on Elm Street is so popular, and it's a very popular New Line film, and I think Lionsgate owns New Line now, that it would not shock me to see a new box set put out by either Scream Factory with individual artwork like they're doing for Friday the 13th, or New Line, or whoever owns them now, put out, Warner Brothers might actually own it. Either way, somebody put out a 4K of this movie. Because I have a feeling as soon as you find this, that's when a 4K will come out. So, go see A Nightmare on Elm Street. Have fun with the man of your dreams. And we will see you next week for, I believe, an unboxing. And then, we'll be back for Nightmare 2, Freddy's Revenge. Thanks for watching. Remember, stay spooky, stay scary. Take care.